Hi, it's Scott. ROCKFILE back with another podcast review. Going to try and do all horror movies in the month of October. It's the first. Let's do the grandfather, Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween came out in Halloween of 1978. Had a budget of $325,000. Even at the time, it was like, really? The movie set the world on fire. Set the horror movie world on fire. It is so influential, you can't even argue that. But also set the movie world on fire. Not since The Exorcist had people had such a visceral reaction to a movie. I remember it. I was like 12 years old when this came out, and I couldn't go see it, so it already had a mystique. It was one of those movies that I wasn't supposed to see. And when I was older, later to see it, great horror flick. I really enjoyed it for a slasher movie. But this and like Evil Dead, in my lifetime, there has been no movies like that. We think of these movies differently now because they're the beginnings of franchises. But there's a reason why they're the beginning of franchises. And yes, Nightmare on Elm Street and a few others, I could say were also fairly influential. But in 1978, other than like Hollywood blockbusters, there'd never been a horror movie that set the pop culture world on fire since The Exorcist, like Halloween did. And they made it for no money. Didn't come from a big Hollywood studio. It was made by an up-and-coming director. Funny that he not only had The Thing in there, but another movie in there, and he's never done a remake of that. But anyway, long story short, I rewatched Halloween in its latest Shout Factory 4K edition and really enjoyed the experience. I have not watched the movie in years. I've owned multiple copies of it. Back in the day, we watched it over and over and over on VHS, then on DVD. I've had a Blu-ray for years that I never watched, and it's literally been quite some time. Personally, and I know I don't want to offend anybody, but this is the only really good Halloween movie. The others all pale in comparison. 2 was an interesting continuation. 3 was out of left field, and these days plays like a really great horror movie that has no connection really to the Halloween thing. But they were trying to do something with evil and the shape and make it kind of nebulous so they could do anything with it. And that's not what people wanted. They wanted more Michael Myers. And then from there, we just have, add violence and repeat. Nothing wrong with any of the Halloween movies, but this is the grandfather for a reason. It's the same with, I feel, about Hellraiser. Hellraiser 2 kind of ups the ante on everything, but it's still not Hellraiser. And then the rest of them pale in comparison, which, by the way, those 4K editions will be among the reviews this month. Let me not get off topic. When John Carpenter's Halloween came out, it just wasn't like anything else. And that combined with the music and the mystique of it being an R-rated movie and we couldn't see it, there was eventually a TV version and a PG version. And by today's standards, cut out a little bit of nudity and 1 or 2 scenes of violence. It's really tame by modern standards. But at the time, again, there wasn't much like it. People were coming out of the theater and talking about it like they talked about The Exorcist, like they talked about Jaws. And this movie took on a life. I saw it years later on Midnight Movies. So to not bore anybody else and get to the crux of the deal, Walmart has a new slipcover on the same Shout Factory edition that's been out forever. Lionsgate put out the original 4K, I believe. I believe it was Lionsgate. I never had that 4K, so I can't compare them. I've only seen this on Blu-ray. But I remember when one of the latest Blu-ray editions came out before they moved up to 4K, they talked about the color timing was different, and they'd kind of fixed things from how it had become. It had kind of gotten green or orange over the years. And anyway, long story short, I didn't really read reviews. I was in Walmart. They got new Halloween movies out, and it's the same Shout Factory edition, which by most people is considered to be the best version because it's got a lot of extras. And they put a new slipcover of it and dropped the price to less than I could buy the regular version or the Steelbook on Amazon. By the way, Amazon has a very expensive Steelbook coming out for all of the Halloween movies. They're Amazon exclusives, and they're about $45 a piece. This was $26.99, and it's the same version that you pay about $30 to $35 on most regular stores. So anyway, it's just a new slipcover. You get the same Shout Factory set, a Blu-ray and a 4K. The 4K has been remastered. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. Wow. For the purist, there is an original mono soundtrack. There is also a 5.1 soundtrack, but the Dolby Atmos is what I checked out because I spent my entire life listening to the mono version. That's how I know the movie. And they do an excellent job on making it feel the same, just broadening the soundstage, making it bigger, making it like a bubble. When the music starts and you kind of hear it not just coming in from the front, but kind of over you and a little around you, and then some things envelop you more in sound, outdoor scenes do more, that kind of thing. I switched back and forth, and the mono is great, and the 5.1 is fine, but if you have Atmos, watch it that way. Wow. Dolby Vision has been applied, and it looks like a film. Matter of fact, as someone who's seen this movie his entire life, this is the best it has ever looked. I thought it looked fantastic. Had a little bit of grain, but nothing that got out of hand. There's a few night scenes where it's really grainy, but they were dealing $325,000, people, in 1978 to make a movie that stood the test of time. Wow. This new edition is great. I haven't watched the extras yet. It does include some of the extra footage that was shot for the TV or used for the TV version. They had to replace some of the R-rated stuff and extend things to get people to watch it on TV. But I think this 4K edition is great, and the price is right. If you've ever wanted a copy of the movie, this new 4K, Walmart seemed to get about 4 or 5 of them. Every store got one. They're not making a big deal out of this. It's just part of their 4K or their they have a new Halloween display they do every year, and they're basically just these orange and black slipcovers over what's already been out. But if you're looking for certain things, it's a great way to pick them up because repackaging old media is kind of like putting it on sale. So anyway, this is the cheapest way you can get this Shout Factory 4K edition. I will go into the extras. I'm kind of looking forward to it. This might even be one that I watch with the commentary on. There's so much in John Carpenter's career, and that this was almost the very beginning of it, what he went on to do. It's all here, and it's pretty masterful for somebody's early work. Some of the camera moves, how they treated the camera as the viewpoint of the killer, was kind of a thing that had only been done a few times in movies before. I recently reviewed Peeping Tom, which was one of the first movies to ever give you that kind of the point of view of the killer, what the killer sees, what the killer wants to see. That's still a dark place to go, and Halloween does it well. I would make the argument that Friday the 13th and Halloween spawned better franchises and better iconic characters in the movie themselves. But Halloween holds up as a good movie. Jamie Lee Curtis in an early role. It's her introduction. It says introducing Jamie Lee Curtis. She's fantastic in the film. She really is good. PJ Souls, I wish she had been in more things. Not only is she beautiful, but she's good in the film as the giggly girl who smokes pot and sleeps with guys and really has that no-care attitude, because you got to have those kind of people in this kind of movie. Some of the male characters just come off as, well, here's stoner dude, here's jock dude, whatever. But it's really about the women in this neighborhood and this guy coming home. And Donald Pleasance is wonderful in the film. I had forgotten the whole opening, of Michael as a kid, getting put in the insane asylum, years later him breaking out of the insane asylum and how that happened. I remember none of that. Really cool. The movie plays out really well today. I would say it's tame by modern standards. It would play more like an A24 movie because although there are killings throughout the film, it is kind of a slow build to that last 20 minutes. It's just like, whew. It builds tension like few other movies know how to do. The performances are solid for what it was. I mean, it's an incredibly low-budget movie that stands the test of time. That's so difficult to do. Rewatching Halloween, and as the first horror movie review of the month, yay, 4 stars. It's a great presentation. I don't think it can look or sound any better. I don't think you can get more stuff. If you have some of the old DVDs or Blu-rays, I think there were some other extras that aren't included in this, but hey, for what I'm looking for, I want the best presentation of the movie, audio and visual. This is the best the movie's looked and sounded. Really enjoyed rewatching it. Happy Halloween, everyone, and enjoy your October. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. Please like, share, and subscribe, but have a spectacular day.